I joined the Special Court for Sierra Leone, so I went over to Freetown, first as a deputy registrar and then a bit later as registrar. And as a registrar, you're basically responsible for the entire administrative and judicial support stuff. So you assist the judges, but the prosecutor, the defense counsel as well.
By the way, what time was this time period?
I'm talking about 2006 when I joined, to 2009 when I went back to The Hague for another job. And so when I joined the Special Court just 2 or 3 months before that, Charles Taylor got arrested and was brought over to The Hague because the trial was not, for security reasons, wasn't able to be held in Freetown, which of course is a pity, but it was really security reasons dictated that. So brought over to The Hague, and as registrar you're responsible for the entire support. So what you also are responsible for is the detention for any accused persons. You know, as a registrar you're neutral because you serve all parties and you support the judges. So it wasn't an issue to talk to all the detained people in Freetown, but also to Charles Taylor in The Hague. And I was responsible for making sure that the detention was up to the international standards by which those tribunals work. And I always call that tea with Taylor, you know. So what happened was court proceedings were always going on from Monday to Thursday and a bit on Friday morning. And Friday afternoon, there were no hearings. So whenever I was in The Hague, I spent most of my time in Freetown, but part of it in The Hague. Whenever I was in The Hague, I thought, you know what, I'll go over and see how the detention issues are, hear whether there are any issues with him. And of course, he always had issues to raise, but of course there are also very strict rules. But I just wanted to make sure, because was my responsibility, I want to make sure that the guy was in good shape, and if there was anything, that I was aware of it. Of course I heard it from the staff who were supervising him 24/7, but I also wanted to do that just with my own eyes and ears. And we had very cordial discussions. He always made some tea for me, and you know, had some discussions in his tiny little cell, discuss all kind of things, but of course also detention issues, complaining about the food, and of course Dutch food he didn't like, which I understand, being Dutch. But you know, it was a strange experience, but I thought it was really necessary to make sure that for him, as any other detained person, he's entitled to the principles that apply to you know, people who are considered innocent until proven guilty. That was during the entire trial. So I met with him on a number of occasions, and you know, chit chats and detention issues and all that. And we never had any major issues with him while he was detained over there.
What was your impressions of the guy?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because he's, of course, let's be clear, he's an incredibly smart guy. Also very charming. You know, of course that's how people like that get in those kind of positions. Yeah, of course he's been convicted for very serious crimes and that were committed in Sierra Leone. But at the same time, you know, charisma goes with those characters often. Otherwise they don't get elected as presidents or as major leaders in a particular country. So it is amazing to see that there's a human being next to the accusations and the conviction later on, and it's sometimes difficult to bring them together. But yeah, very charismatic, incredibly smart, and all these kind of things. But hey, he was a detainee, and the rules applied to him equally as to any other detainees over there. But it was an interesting discussions. Yes, definitely.
You're terrific.
Thank you.
This is fun. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, no problem at all, Greg. Yeah, great.
Tea with
Sure.
Taylor. Holy cow.
Yeah.